Today we hit a beautiful trade, as you can see here on this chart. This beautiful chart, we hit a beautiful trade, 1 to 2, and yeah, we just took our little trade. We won. This was the original draw on liquidity. Again, I put this in the Discord. I don't know if I have it loaded up. I don't, but again, my draw. We're gonna go over this higher time frame wise, and we're gonna break this down on this little chart right here. And yeah, today I was a little bit more bullish than bearish, but once we started to see the rejection on the 5 minute there, I was just going bearish. 4 hour time frame, this is key right here. We had on the 4 hour time frame, we had a 4 hour SIBI first and foremost, and then on the daily time frame, we also had our sell side objective. Very, very cute little, low there, promising low. This is where it gets a little bit more tricky. Daily time frame, we had daily CRT. You expect this candle to be the move up higher, but it was a bank holiday, and then today, the market just went down lower, swept low, and that was just what we were looking for. But again, we were gonna go over the short we took. Sweep of the highs right there. Continuation move lower of these lows, and on the 1 hour time frame, again, we had just another very promising sweep. So we're gonna mark that out right there like that. Boom, boom, boom. So again, the market was showing strong rejection. We were also inside of this 1 hour SIBI, and again, I was looking for longs, but we failed to on the 5 minute time frame continue displacing with this 5 minute fair value up. And once I saw that, and again, I didn't need a closure below. I just knew market here looked very, very strong. 930 low, very promising for the market to continue lower and reach that low, and then eventually continue to the downside. But again, I was aiming for 1 to 2, which is lining up perfectly with this low right here, and that was the low I was targeting. But again, the market clearly just went through it like butter, and then eventually met my target, and then eventually started to reject and move up higher once we swept these lows and pushed up higher. Probably had some form of SMT, but again, just clear. One thing I did do better with this trade was I was very, very patient. In terms of once we went break even, which was around here, once we had this 950 candle open up and we had strong displacement, that's where I went break even. I remember this on like the 15-second time frame, we had strong displacement with this candle, and that's where I went break even. And right then and there, I knew that this trade had a very high likelihood of continuing to the downside and moving down lower, because again, I didn't enter on this candle, enter on this one, and again, it looked to me very, very promising once we had strong displacement, reaching below these lows, moving stops break even, being risk free, and then eventually I was like, all right, 1 to 1 was very, very clear, very, very clear. It was met pretty soon, and then I was like, you know what, this is my draw. We can aim for a little bit more, aim for 1 to 2, and that's kind of what happened here. And yeah, that's kind of what I aimed for. Took it. I was using standard deviations on the 5 minute also to see if there would be a potential, area where the market would want to go to, and it was these lows. But again, that's a 1 to 5, aiming for a little bit too much here on my plate. And again, the market, again, after a bank holiday, the market to me isn't majority of the time not going to move with such strong displacement and speed. It's probably going to happen throughout the week. And again, we didn't really have a higher time from internal array. If we did have a higher time from internal array, that would be a different story. We only had the 1 hour one, which was the 1 hour SIBI, but on the daily and the 4 hour, we weren't really tapping up into the, we weren't really inside of here. If we were inside of here, taking the trade around here, we formed that inversion, sweeps, all that, then eventually I'll be targeting further. I'll probably be targeting these lows, but we never had that, and we never had really strong displacement with volume here. But again, all this was the manipulation for the market to then move down lower, and that was the trade I took. And it was a very, very nice short that brings the account balance to 1.8, and then eventually on the other one it brings it to 2.3. So I do believe I will be taking the payout here on both accounts and continuing to risk 1% on each trade idea. And if we look at the monthly stats here, honestly, very, very nice monthly stats. Again, this trade should have been a 2 hour trade. This should have been a 1 hour trade. Again, a 1 hour trade. Again, just I'm missing out on potential profits. And I wrote this down eventually on 2/13, which was a Friday, about how we need to work on our take profit areas / the exits and being more realistic with the trade idea. again, I was very realistic with this trade idea. I didn't move my stop loss, or I mean my take profit further and further, aiming for more and more, aiming for this. I just aimed for the strong liquidity, having reasonable areas. If a standard deviation target with a drawn liquidity lines up perfectly, I will take it there. And then eventually the trade management needs improvement for sure. It's a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, it's doing more harm than good. It's more emotional based thinking than logic. And what I mean by that is, every time I would trail my stop loss, like today I could have probably trailed my stop loss and got hit out, but once I zoom out, once I look at the higher picture, like the higher time frame, I realize majority of the time that, doing more harm than good. If I go back to these other trades, like Friday's trade, I trailed my stop loss way too deep into profit, and I missed out on, like close to 1 hour. And then Monday I risked too little, but again, I just was trailing my stop loss, taking partials. It just wasn't ideal, risk a little bit more, aim for that 1 hour, take it. This trade, I aimed for 2 hour, I trailed my stop loss, my drawn liquidity was right then and there, and I just trailed my stop loss way too aggressively, and I stopped out. Boom. This trade, I'm not too sure. I have to probably review it, but I did review it, but I just can't recall if this was like let's go look at it. I was really better journal another trade too, so let's go over this trade, see what happened. Yeah, again, stop loss and profit way too deep, just moving it and break even. Again, break your target right here, aim for a little bit more, aim for 1 hour. This could have been a 1 hour trade, perfect, but I trailed my stop loss way too tight. Just the fear of loss, really, and like missing out on potential profits got the best of me. But again, that does more harm, because again, our entry area is an area where we don't want to see the market come back down into, and we want to see strong displacement, leave away from that area. And that's why we're entering, because again, it's invalidating what the other side is invalidating. If we're going short, it's invalidating all the longs that were being taken. And again, same thing for shorts, it was invalidating all the shorts. So again, we want to look for strong displacement. It can come back down, rebalance, to then eventually push up higher. Simple stuff. But again, really my first month of just good results here. Last month, not following the system, and then eventually not following the system again. All these losses really should have not been taken. And again, I'm aiming for consistency here, and I'm aiming for just discipline and being consistent, and that's all I'm aiming for, and I got rewarded for it. And of course, once you start following that, there's always room for improvement. Again, I just talked about it, my trade management and my take profit areas, there's more improvement there. And of course, once that probably gets better, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's going to be more other areas of improvement. Maybe it's my entries, it could be better. Maybe it's my confirmation confluences. Again, I'm always trying to work, and I'm always trying to get better every single day. And again, this is just a little milestone. I'm not really thinking like, oh, I made it. Again, refresh payouts, we can probably request this amount. And yeah, I probably will do that. Request the eligible amount. I'm gonna wait probably towards like the end of the day, see if it continues to update, because again, the account balance is at 1800. And I want to do lifetime. Let's see if it does 1.83, because again, before January, I wasn't really trading these accounts. So yeah, 1.83194, and then you can see here basically updated already. And then same thing for really this one. Sees it's at 44, but again, if we go to December, we did have this one, December and November. So yeah, December we had a $3 loss, because again, we're trying to keep the account active. So yeah, we did update it, and now we can take more of that payout. So I probably will take the payout, and then again, it's gonna leave me basically with this amount. So I'm gonna have 2 trade buffer on one account, and the other one probably the same thing. So again, really just taking good trades, having good risk management, and just showing up every single day. And that's really it. This is going to be a profitable month for this month, and I'm really happy. I'm really excited to see what can go down for the rest of the year. Like, I'm really thinking long term. I'm thinking about 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, and I basically did complete one of my goals, which was to receive my first payout, and this will be my first payout. And again, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. Only because you're making like what you're making right now doesn't mean you can't continue going. And again, it's patience. You see, certain days I don't trade. Certain days I hit small amounts, I hit break even, but then I have my breakout moments. And again, over time, you just get better and you get more used to it. Again, because again, once you're not following your system, once you're deviating away from that and you're breaking your rules, you're doing this and that, and then once you start following it again, it's very, very hard for your brain mechanisms to like accept risk or certain trades without thinking like, oh, it's going to be a loss, or oh, this is scary, or oh, this is, because you're so there's so much uncertainty based upon the past experiences that you put into your present moment, you know, the present trade, which is something I'm still dealing with too, you know, because again, breaking these rules, not following the system, it just happens, you know. But again, I'm very in a mellow state right now. Probably gonna update the vlog also. I did have the live recording of that, so that is pretty much really it. And yeah, if you want to join the Discord, it will be linked below. I go through my trades, or I just do like a little trade recap of like the trades I took this week, why they were good, why they were bad, what I could do better next time, and that's pretty much really it. And then eventually, what else? I go through my bias on, you know, like ES and Q for the week, and I basically was saying, you know, like I was looking for shorts. I was looking for a manipulation into this SIBI to then eventually move down lower and sweep these lows. But again, we didn't get that, but it's perfectly fine. So yeah, peace.